Hey, how's it going? This is part 2 of my videos on chess tactics. If you missed the first one, you can click above or in the description below where I talked about forks, pins, and skewers. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 other types of tactics that you should learn, so stay tuned. So the first tactic we're going to look at are called trapped pieces, and it's just like it sounds. If a piece cannot move to safety, it's a trapped piece. So let's look at a very quick example. If white plays c4, the English defense, black plays e5, white plays g3, black plays bishop to b4. Now white can play a3, and if black plays bishop to a5, this is a mistake, and white can now set up a trapped piece. So b4 attacks the bishop. Only safe space for black to retreat to is b6, and now white can play c5, and this bishop is completely trapped. There's nowhere for it to go to where it won't be captured by one of white's pawns. So that's a quick example of a trapped piece with pawns. It doesn't always have to be pawns. Let's look at one more example. If white plays g3, black plays d6, white plays bishop to g2, and black plays bishop to f5. First of all, he's leaving this pawn undefended, but also after white captures it, the rook is under attack, and it cannot escape because it's trapped by its own pieces, so this is also another example of a trapped piece. So the next tactic we're going to look at is called a double attack, and it is when you attack 2 pieces at the same time. Makes sense, right? So let's look at an example. White plays g3, black plays d6, white plays knight f3, black plays bishop f5, white plays bishop to g2, and now black plays this terrible move, b6. Now white has the opportunity to create a double attack. So knight d4, the knight attacks the bishop, and at the same time, the bishop attacks the rook. That's a double attack. And black is not going to be able to save both pieces at the same time. He could save his bishop, and then he would lose his rook. Or he could save his rook by maybe blocking the bishop, like that, but then he's losing his bishop. Next tactic is called a discovered check. So a discovered check simply means that one of your pieces is lined up on the king, on your opponent's king, like in this example, the queen, but it's blocked by another piece, and when you move that other piece out of the way, you now have a check. And so that's called discovered check. So in this example, if white were to move this bishop somewhere, then he would have check on black's king. So a very good move would be bishop to d3. It's check, and you're attacking the black queen, and he can't save his queen because he has to deal with the check on his king. So that's a discovered check. Next up, we have what is called a double check. Double check simply means that you're checking your opponent's king with 2 different pieces at the same time. So in this position right here, white's queen is lined up with black's king. The knight's just blocking it. So if white were to move the knight, black is now in check from the queen and also in check from the knight at the same time. So the interesting thing about double checks is that your opponent has to move their king to get out of check. That's the only way. So if they try to capture, let's say they try to capture this knight with the bishop, well, they're still in check from the queen. And if they try to capture your queen, well, they're still in check from the knight. So again, the only way to get out of check is to move their king. So in this case, black would have to move to d8. And now white could simply capture the queen, or even better, queen to e8 is checkmate. So double checks are very powerful. So the last example is called removing the defender. And before we look at that, if you don't mind hitting the like button if you've learned something from this video, I'd really appreciate it. So removing the defender works like this. White would like to capture this knight on d4, but if he does it right now, black can simply trade rooks with check and then recapture the bishop, and he's in a great position. However, if white were to capture this rook first with check, black would have to recapture, and that rook is no longer defending the knight. And now white can simply capture the knight. So it's when a piece is defended by something, and you are able to make that piece that's defending move away, like in this case, we made the rook move away, and then we can simply capture the knight, removing the defender. So I've got one more example of removing the defender for you. If you want to pause the video and try to find the best move for white, you can do that now. If you just want to see what it is, here we go. So white's queen is attacking black's queen, but if white captures it right now, black simply recaptures. So let's put those back. If black's king was somehow not able to recapture the queen, white would win a queen. So this is a perfect example of removing the defender. White can simply play bishop to h7, check, And black only has two legal moves. Either move his king to the corner or capture the bishop. And either one of those, white simply will now be able to take black's queen for free because the king no longer defends the queen. So now that you know what all these different tactics are, the best thing that you can do is start practicing them, and you'll start to see them show up more and more in your games. Actually, I have an example for you of removing the defender, and it's this position right here. It's white to play and checkmate in 2 moves. And like I said, the theme is removing the defender. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and look at this position and see if you can figure out what it is, and let me know in the comments below if you can solve it. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. Thanks a lot.